Now, on 23.5, former First Lady Laura Bush, known more for her education advocacy when her husband was in office, now talks for the first time with us about her passion for nature and conservation. And she has a new nonprofit, Texan by Nature, which is dedicated to protecting the Texas native habitat. Plus, how saving a threatened species of butterflies is now a special mission in her life. Don't miss this. She has some surprising comments as well, directly on climate change and energy. And rescue on the high seas, a daring save in the angry waters off Cape Cod that everyone feared was just a suicide mission. Plus, a species of marine animals that has kept its age a secret for centuries. That is until one researcher came along, and no, we're not talking about my age, all right now on 23.5. Now, former First Lady Laura Bush, revealing a side of herself that few of us ever really knew about during her husband's administration. In a special one-on-one interview shot on the grounds of the Bush Institute in Dallas, Mrs. Bush shares with us her passion for nature, her love of hiking and camping, and even directly takes on talks of climate change and clean energy. This, as she launches her brand new conservation nonprofit and vows to save a butterfly species that is incredibly under attack with rapidly dwindling numbers. Starting September and October, I started seeing a lot of headlines about Texan by Nature, your organization, and the monarch butterfly. So you've taken it on really as a cause. Tell me a little bit about the plight of the monarch. Why did it need help?
Well, monarchs are way down. They're down in Chiapas where they breed, and we're not really sure why. But Texas is the flyway. It's the funnel, really, up from Mexico for monarchs to fly. And because of fragmentation of land, which occurs all over the United States because of just development and communities that spring up everywhere, their land that they have to land on is so much less. And then what they need is milkweed, a certain milkweed. That's what they eat, that's what they breed on. And because people have planted, you know, coastal Bermuda or whatever, instead of letting their prairies be wild, that milkweed is also depleted.
The numbers are staggering. It's not just a little problem with monarchs, it's like 80% of the population gone.
It's a huge problem. And monarchs are very popular. People in Texas love monarchs. They're our state insect.
Oh, look, a monarch right here, right there.
So people can, in their own yards, plant milkweed. A lot of commercial growers will grow the native milkweed that you plant. And we've propagated antelope horn, which is one of the milkweeds at our ranch. We have it naturally.
You've also mentioned in the writings on the site that we have a problem with insecticides, we have a problem with pesticides, we have big usage of all of those things. And milkweed just doesn't live through either one of them very well. And insecticides are bad if you're doing them in general.
That's one of the reasons to plant native plants. They don't need insecticide. They don't need a lot of water. They're adapted for the soil where you are. And they even make the soil better. If they're the native plants that are there. I think it's really important for people all over the United States to get to know what their native plants are, to ask around and to plant them instead of imported, which is what most of our landscape plants are, imported from Europe or imported from Asia, that most people put in their yards today.
When you talk about the monarch flyway, there's so much of the country that's involved in this. It comes from the East Coast, the middle of the heartland of America, the West Coast as well, all the way through here. You're concentrating on replanting in the Texas area, but the monarch's a national story. How are you getting involved in that national story?
You're giving me a chance to talk about it. What I'm working on, of course, is Texas, which is big. But it is important for everyone in the whole flyway, all the way to Nebraska and Canada, to make sure that they're planting the native plants that pollinators need and that monarchs need. And all the pollinators, bees and monarchs, are absolutely important for us. We have to have them for agriculture. They're not just pretty to look at, but they're actually crucial for agriculture, pollinators are.
Your organization has done something that I think is incredibly difficult, and that is you've taken big corporations, local people, small town folks, you've managed to tell them all that this is important to every one of them. When I look at it, you've got a lot of corporate people involved in environment and conservation, and they don't necessarily always fit. So how did you...
That's right. One of the things we've done is work with the corporations that have big campuses. For instance, BAE, which is the defense contractor, has a big 140-acre campus outside of Austin. And so on their grounds, they can plant native plants and plant the milkweed, and they can eradicate things like ligustrum, which have come up in the woods that are around there that is not native. And the people that work there are interested. They want to be able to have their big campus be a way stop for monarchs. And then because they become interested in it, they go home, they talk to their kids and their friends and their clubs about planting the plants for pollinators. So I think that's really important.
Do you think it's you that manages to help these people have that similar conversation if it wasn't a First Lady of the United States
Well, I
having
think I
this
have a
conversation?
platform which I'm happy to use. I want to use my platform on this issue. But also, I think people are interested. People love butterflies. You know, people that work in corporations love butterflies too. And they want to be able to do the best thing they can for their own properties, either for their own backyards or, in this case, for a large corporate campus.
We've talked a little bit about the large expanse of the flyway of the butterflies and how you're doing so much in Texas to kind of create a safe zone for them. Problems in Mexico where storms have crushed some of the trees that they winterize in, but also people are talking about the climate change in Mexico and how those trees can only live in a certain area. I know you're doing what you can here, but where do the bigger questions like climate change come into this conversation?
Well, I think that everyone, whether you think it's man-made climate change or not, it doesn't matter. The point is we don't want pollution. We want clean energy. Everyone does. It's better for humans. Even if it, you know, people who think there isn't climate change or it's not caused by people. It's still really important for all of us to try to figure out ways, every way we can, to have clean energy, to not pollute in any way, to quit using plastic. Even, for instance, I got to go when George named the Northwestern Hawaiian Islands as a National Marine Monument, go there, and way out, so remote from Hawaii that it's a 6-hour flight from Honolulu. There are huge plastic gyres in the ocean, in the water.
And it's never going away. Yeah, I love the way you put it, because to me it shouldn't be an argument.
Yeah.
You even say it's really a moral obligation.
Yeah. That's right. It is a moral obligation to do what we can for our beautiful earth that we were so lucky to be born on. And in our country that has so many, many beautiful sites and that are open to people, the national parks that have been protected by the generations that have come before us, that all of us can visit, and they're in every state. And it's just really important for us to pay attention to our world.
Up next, let's continue our one-on-one conversation with Laura Bush. This might surprise you. The building that bears her husband's name in Dallas is an extraordinary example of green innovation, top-tier green innovation. We'll also talk about her love of nature, going all the way back to her childhood days in Midland, Texas, inspiring her to write a children's book with one of her daughters.